Alright, hey, what's up guys? So we're back with the final tier list for the Ambition season, the Dark tier list, which was 100% the hardest one to make. It's not really a problem, but there's actually so many good Dark units in the game that it was hard for me to figure out where I think they should be placed. So I actually created an extra tier in the A+ because I didn't feel like these units fit here or here. I wanted to put them in between. And honestly, I wanted to do an S+ as well for in between these two, but I don't want to complicate things too much. You kind of see where things are based on this, and I'm going to go through all these units up here anyways. Pretty much anything below B isn't really viable for Dark. Penelope's still unknown right now. I haven't seen anybody use her. Her kit looks like she could be good, but honestly, if I were to place her somewhere now, it would probably be here, maybe here if she's lucky, but I haven't seen her used literally at all, so I don't know. And then MLEO hasn't gotten his buff yet. Bombs are still kind of trash. He does get a strip, but if you draft him with Isaria, they're probably just going to ban your Isaria and you have no one to detonate his bombs, and then he kind of like does nothing. He's just like a worse Cerise in that case, like a way worse Cerise, which would net him maybe here, maybe here, maybe here. I would give him B. I'm just gonna leave him down here because he hasn't been changed and I've never seen her drafted. So this covers those. Let's just go ahead and go down the list here. So I said, I think in previous videos, that I think Spectre Tenebria is the best unit in the game right now, and I will stand my ground on that. They're introducing like a lot of answers to like they buffed single target stuff, right, to deal with some of these other units that are like not S10y. Buffing single target units just makes S10y stronger in a sense. So like the fact that they buff Violet, that literally does nothing to her. They're buffing Luna, that literally does nothing to her, and so forth. Buffing a Ravi literally does nothing to her. So I just think S10y is in a really strong spot in the meta right now. I'm definitely an S10y abuser right now. Like, I pick her very early. She carries a book, which allows you to pivot into a Pavel late game pick. She's pretty essential to that kind of draft, which is what I play right now, and I just think she's the best unit in the game, hands down. If you're a new player watching this tier list for some reason, Spectre Tenebria is definitely, in my opinion, the best option to take from your Moonlight Blessing. So keep that in mind, and yeah. And then we go on to FCC here. I was never really an FCC user. I would kind of draft her, but she was never one of my main picks. I was more of a Crow player, right? I like Crow's playstyle more than FCC's. I like being able to kill something, not put a condom on all my units for extra protection, right? Because that's kind of what FCC does. But right now, the meta is kind of turned into first pick FCC, and then you react to whatever your opponent drafts. If they pick something, like if they take two of the like the high contested picks like Landy and S10y, after you first pick FCC, you can literally just draft full cleave after that and instantly win, right? She's just, and then if you draft FCC and then they're going full cleave, then you can go full tank and win that way. She's just very diverse in what you can draft, and a very just solid unit. And that's really all I got to say about her. She holds Arius, and maybe you can run Adamant Shield, whatever, but she's such a good first pick right now. Like, I first pick her almost every single game. I guess I could, let's look at some match history real quick. I haven't really been doing RTA because of the hunt buffs and like working on the new account. But let me turn that down a little bit. But yeah, battle log, like, see, FCC first pick, FCC first pick, S10y second pick, right? What about here? Took her first. This is where she's kind of weak to, right? I just tried to YOLO this, But she's kind of weak to the Bazaar, right? Because you strip everything off. I just got out-drafted here, really. And then here, first pick again. And then, yeah, I think I just, he banned the mitigation. Yeah, I think I just died to this thing. You know, this thing late picks really good into how I draft. And then another one, FCC. It's literally like FCC first pick every game. Like every single game for me, actually, in my match history. I have her, except for this one because he took her, right? But, yeah. I don't know how I won this one. Oh, because he drafted this thing. That's how I won. But, yeah. FCC is just a really good first pick, right? And then going into the next one, ACID. ACID is just the fastest unit in the game. Most of the time, if someone's trying to speed race you and you pick ACID, he's a force ban. Just because he's not the fastest unit in the game, Kayron is. I know he's got one more base speed, but you're not going to build Kayron fast to speed contest. And he can rip 20 souls from your opponent, so which is also very strong. Book is very relevant in this meta right now. A lot of people are drafting mages, so ACID is just top tier. Strays is your premier tank buster. Like, it's a very slow meta. A late pick Strays is a force ban a lot of the time. Like, you cannot, like, you can't deal with him. You can't tank his damage. You have to build niche units to tank his damage. Like, I use a Ravi tech with Crow. My a Ravi is my highest HP unit. But even if he has attack buff, I'm still dead, right? So he's just super solid. You could also do slow bruiser. I actually have 2 strays, right? I built 2 of them. One of mine is built for PvE right now because of the hunt event that was going on today, but I do have 2 strays. I run a fast one. I'm not gonna show, well, I guess I can show stats, whatever. This is my faster one, and then I have him on PvE gear right now. This one's the triple S. I don't have any imprints in this one. I just happened to do like a couple pulls after I pitied him and ended up getting another one, which was pretty cool. I wanted to get another one just so I could build one for PvE, and then this is a unit that I wouldn't mind having 2 built because I can finesse some people if they remember my strays from last game and I draft a different one and they're like, what the heck, his gear's different. You know what I mean? It's just kind of cool to mess with your opponents in that way. But yeah. And then to the next pick, we have ML Haste. Honestly, I wanted to put him a little bit lower, but the fact that Maid is such a top tier unit right now and such a highly contested pick, I think that makes him equally as good because he's her best counter in the game, right? And even if you don't draft him into Revive, he's actually really good. He can hold like Idol's Cheer and stuff. There's some really good Soul Weaver artifacts he can hold. And he does good damage. He's a hard counter to Arbiter, Vildred, and Maid, really. And then we have Tomoka here. I don't fight her too often, but she's another good counter pick into Maid. Like, I personally don't have her. I do think she's a really good unit. And I've lost to her quite a few times because I was drafting Maid a lot at the start of the season. I draft Amelia more than Maid now, but yeah, she was almost a force ban for me every time. She's just a really strong unit, especially like if you have gear like Kenny, then this unit is fucking terrifying. Like, she just scales really good with gear, pretty much. And then going into Opsig, Opsig was really good, and then she got buffed, right? And then she slid up a little bit. It just gave her extra damage. The reason I have her up here is because Carrot's still really relevant and drafted a lot. Amelia's drafted a lot, also puts up barriers. FCC is in almost every single game unless she's banned. So Opsig is just a really strong pick in the meta right now. And that goes all my top tier. Arguably some of these units could go up, but this is how I'm doing it, right? And then in S, these are in no particular order. We've got Rylet here. Rylet is a very favored unit amongst the Korean and Asian community on those servers. And when played very well, he's very strong. If you don't have a way to deal with him quickly, which, like, the best way to deal with him is, like, Clurry, right? A lot of people aren't using Clurry right now. A lot of people don't have Clurry built. So I think that's why Violet here, or Remnant Violet, is such a good unit in this meta. People are building really tanky units. He can bust through them pretty quick. What I see a lot of these players do when they draft him, they'll go in a pretty safe draft, and he'll be kind of bulky. They'll let Frenzy get up to 2 or 3 before they send his S3, and then smash something. There's a lot of AoE in the meta. He gets his focus up pretty quick, smashes something else. You know what I mean? He's just a very solid snipe unit, right? Not great in the S10, but, you know, almost no unit in the game is great in the S10 right now. And then I have T-Crozet here. Some people might argue that he'd be like A+, which I could see that as well. You don't see him as much, but he's like amazing anti-cleave. If you draft him in the right draft, it's really hard to get through your opponent. Like, it's almost miserable. It is miserable fighting a condom comp with this guy on it. And the unit that he's protecting is really hard to kill. So like him plus Rim, for example, yeah. He's just a disgusting protection unit, right? And then Arby, he's normally up at the top in the very front, right? Right now, there's just a lot of counters to him, and people are playing very tanky drafts. Usually, if you lose to an Arbiter Vildred, it's a problem with your draft. I lose to him sometimes because I get in the bad habit of drafting one mitigation, right? And then a double Gab Arby will just kill my entire team. You know? There's a lot. I run a lot of counter units and etc. I run, you know, a lot of higher damage bruisers. Typically, he'll go first. He'll chunk my team, and then I'll end up killing him when I take my turns, and then he'll chunk my team again, and I'm dead. So I still think he's very good, but yet again, he's just another unit that needs insane gear. You know, and then DJ Arby is also pretty good anti-cleave. You know, he could be built 2 ways. So DJ Arby can be played in a slower team, and then you have the faster version that's built in a team that punishes people that don't draft mitigation, and you know, the fast one can even be anti-cleave as well. So he could literally kill an entire team on his revive if they don't have a way to deal with him, right? So he's just still a good unit. And then CDOM, of course, still great. I know a lot of people probably think she's fallen off because of Politis, but like I run a high crit CDOM. I don't need to use her S3 to crit stuff. I just send the S3 or the S1 if I need to. Politis is very good into her. It might have made her fall off a little bit, but CDOM is still a very good unit if you don't have a way to deal with her. Still think she's solid. And then A. Coley is like a lesser version of S10, I think. She does tons of damage, right? Draft her with a book, she can one-shot a unit. People aren't building her as fast. They're building her more damage in between like 250, 270 range. They're not making her like 300 speed and speed contesting. At least not most people from what I've seen. I mean, if you can make a bunch of units really fast. Typically, Acid is the speed contester and A. Coley is the, you know, she could be a very solid last pick to blow up a unit. Especially when you're fighting somebody that doesn't draft AoE and it's all single target, which, you know, I can fall into that sometimes too. We have Bryce Area here. Carmen's really relevant now. She's like one of the top end units in the meta, FCC. You know, it's just the fact that she does what Basar does, but does damage too, right? Typically, you don't need the effectiveness because you're not trying to strip their Soul Weavers. You're trying to kill their DPS with this unit. She can be decent anti-cleave too because of her passive. So she's just a strong unit. And then we go Champ Z here. Champ Z is usually a force ban, which I think deserves him S tier because he's like the only unit that can really do what he does, and he really punishes heavy debuffs. And that's his niche, right? And I think that alone, that niche alone, nets him S tier. He's a very good unit. And then going down to A+, this is where things get a little wishy-washy, right? I think the A+ is where I think some units fall short when it comes to dark units, right? ML Kawazu, I love this unit. I pick him a lot, but he falls short when they don't AoE. Granted, when you take the option of them AoEing away from them is a really good thing. Sometimes you never get to the point where you can get your passive and one shot their high resist units, right? So it just gets kind of frustrating sometimes. You got to be really smart when you draft ML Kawazu. I've drafted him in some situations where he just won me the game straight up. So I do think he's very good. And we have ML Charles here. I haven't seen too much of him used, but he's very solid. I forgot. I think I fought Astronauts when he was testing him out, and I banked on speed, and I guess Astronaut has some 300 speed units, so I didn't know that. I didn't know he had that good a speed gear, but yeah, I kind of just got like ran over. And I know Panshui's seeing a lot of success with Charles. I haven't seen too many of the games, but like in his kit, like he's basically another G-Perg. Like I can't justify putting G-Perg in S tier and then not putting Charles up there as well, right? I think G-Perg is a little bit more flexible. G-Perg is a little bit more flexible in how you can use them than Charles is. You can try and build a Bruiser Charles. I haven't seen that yet, and I would be interested in seeing it. I would love to do it myself, but I don't want to pull this unit. Well, yeah, I don't want to keep wasting pulls when I want the Angelica, right? Speaking of Angelica, we have Sinji. Sinji's great when she works and terrible when she doesn't. Because essentially, like, you're on a time limit when you draft this unit. If you don't kill something fast enough, then she kind of becomes dead weight on your team. She's just a attack buffer. You know, the dual attack mechanic is great too, but like if you don't end something quickly, you're kind of fucked. And if you draft her into ML Kawazu with AoE, there's no way you're going to get through their team fast enough, right? Because if you AoE, Kawazu's going to push himself up and one-shot her. I actually did that to Lakari. So, like, I think she's good, but situationally good. That's just kind of like what A tier is. Situationally good, right? And then we have S and top that are just good units. And then going into Oxlots. Oxlots is still a good unit. He's kind of fallen off because there's so many, you know, Politis exists now, and it's mainly because of Politis, right? But if you last pick Oxlots, or you pick them in your last 2 slots and they don't have Politis, then you can automatically ban her if you're comfortable with drafting them in that situation, right? I've won a lot of games where I last pick Oxlots, and I have Pavel and Strays on my team. It's like in that instance, what are you gonna ban? I'm gonna take the first turn unless you have more than 1 speed contest, or you have a speed contest and Politis. But if you draft no speed contest, and then in my last 2 picks I take Oxlots and I take Pavel, and I have another book holder and Strays in my previous 2 picks, I'm gonna beat you no matter what. Unless like something weird happens, but like Pavel's either gonna delete something, or you're gonna ban Pavel, I'm gonna Oxlots booth Strays, and he's gonna delete something. There's not much you can stop. Or you ban Oxlots, I still Pavel, you know? Like, or you ban Strays, I still Pavel, you know? It's just one of those finesse situations, right? So that's why I think Oxlots is very good. And then A Ravi, I love my A Ravi. She's just great anti-cleave tech. Her on a Zercomet is actually insane. I've actually won games with her, you know, against faster paced players, just because I would like her faster, but this is the build I'm running now. She has 98% crit with this artifact. Keep that in mind. Yeah. I have running her on pin set. So essentially, like, something dies, she gains 18% CR. If she was a higher speed, she would cut a lot of units in the game. She still cuts at this speed if they just solo draft Pavel. Like, if I draft this in the Pavel and they, like, one-shot my rim, I just one-shot the Pavel back and revive my rim with Sigurds and Demon Mode, because the kill from A Ravi counts towards Rim's Demon Mode. So she'll revive in Demon Mode. I pop off her with her S3. She fully heals herself, debuffs the entire other team, and she's immune to debuffs after that. It's actually a cracked combo. It's pretty fun to play. And then, yeah, I'm not going to go too much into A and below, because this video is already really long. These are just niche picks. Amiru's, you know, a counter unit with seal, so you can draft her into passives, right? Fat Cat's a meme. You can draft him with evasion. ML Kin's a meme. You can draft him against debuffers, which really not many people pick, but he's kind of a strong last pick. D-Corv is another strong last pick that you can pick into people that want to play really slow. A player that plays really slow does not want to fight Dark Corvus because, yeah, that's bad for them. And then same thing with ML Lilibet here. She's kind of like a niche pick in where they're going to throw a lot of debuffs on you, right? Which isn't very often. I've seen her work, but I don't think she's a great unit. And then down below that is just kind of like, these are niche picks you might see in a one match in 500, and then you won't see anything down here. Still looking forward to this guy's buff. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end it. This went way faster because this took a lot longer because there's a lot more units to talk about as Dark, which is actually kind of crazy in comparison to the other elements. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Yet again, this is all subjective. A lot of these units can probably be flopped around to different tiers, but this is just what I settled on. I'm satisfied with this one, to be honest, where it's at. But yeah, if you're new here, sub, I'd appreciate it. I'm going through a beginner series right now. I want to get back to 10K. I'm like 150 subs away from 10K. Shouldn't be too hard to get that pretty quick, and then yeah, keep pushing forward. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Fuck.